Today I've got a fantastic keyboard kit to showcase. This is the Sin65 from Win Studios. This is a brand new keyboard that's available as a group buy between 19th of September to the 19th of October 2023. I'll leave the details of how to buy this keyboard in the video description below. So let's start with a quick unboxing, then I'll take a closer look at the board itself before starting on the build. Inside there are two compartments. The top compartment has a blue box with all the internals of the board, and below that the lower compartment has the actual body of the keyboard. Now I can't see any instruction manuals, however you do get this double-sided card, and there's also a QR code which you can scan, and that will take you to a more detailed installation guide on the web. Now inside the blue box are the following. There's a bag with screws, gaskets and other bits and bobs, including the Type-C connector for the PCB board. Everything is labelled and nicely packed, so it's easy to identify what's what. There are two plates included. There's a polycarbonate plate and an aluminium plate. There's a foam kit. These are pre-cut foam pieces that will go on the bottom of the case and also in between the PCB board and the switches. And finally, here is the PCB itself. Now, trigonometry is basically the inspiration or theme behind the name of this keyboard. And as such, the PCB is finished in a trigonometry pattern with various graphs and formulas in keeping with the trigonometry theme. It looks rather eye-catching and nice. This particular PCB board is the Bluetooth hot swap version. Now, as previously mentioned, stabilizers are not included in the box. However, as this is a review board, Win Studios were kind enough to throw in some stabilizers. Now let's take a look at the actual keyboard body itself. So here is the Sin65 in anodized grey 445C. It's all metal and really heavy. Now I couldn't find the official weight of the board on the Win Studio website, but if I had to take a guess, I would probably say it's around maybe 2 or 2.5 kilograms. Now this is a DIY kit. However, the board that I have already has a few things pre-assembled, such as the weight on the back and the batteries. So this board has two batteries, each coming in at 2200 mAh. There's a weight on the back, and that has the SIN-X branding, the formula, and also the SIN-X formula graph, which is a wavy shape that resembles peaks and valleys. And this is reflected on the weight itself, which has a embossed finished wave pattern that's sort of resonating out from the center. It looks rather nice. So let's put everything together and start assembling the keyboard. So first we need to install the Type-C daughter board into the bottom case and attach the two batteries to it. Now, if this was the wired version, it wouldn't have batteries. Instead, you'd put foam where the batteries are. Next, put the 1mm case foam into the bottom of the base, covering the batteries, and loop the Type-C connector strip through the square hole. Then put the 2mm hot swap foam on top of this. Now, it's probably a good idea to actually remove the 6 screws from the underside of the board in order to remove the top of the case. Now, let's put the case aside and work on the PCB assembly. First, you need to put the 0.5mm expo sheet, then install the stabilizers. Now, I did apply a light layer of GPL205G0 loop to the stabilizers, and hopefully this will make them sound a little better. These are screw-in stabilizers, so just align them the right way around and start screwing them in from the underside of the PCB board. You need 2 screws per stabilizer, and there are 4 stabilizers in total, covering the left shift key, the space bar, the backspace and the enter key. Next, install the 4 gold-colored standoff screws. These are needed in order to screw in the case plate. To install them, you need to screw them from the underside. This is a little fiddly as the screws are very tiny. Now we need to install the 3.5mm foam onto the PCB. Just make sure it's aligned properly, then decide which plate you want to use. I'm going for the aluminium plate as I prefer a board to have a little less flex. Once the plate is in place, you need to screw in securely. The screws basically go into the standoffs which were installed previously. There should be 4 screws in total. And now the board should look like this. Next up, it's time to install the switches. And once again, Win Studios were kind enough to throw in these rather fancy looking switches. These are inspired by the Devil Fruit Mirror Mirror Nomi from the anime series One Piece. These are made by Studios. These are linear switches, Cherry MX compatible, and made from dye sublimated PBT material. Each switch has a 500 million keystroke lifespan and gold contacts. I believe these come factory lubed. Once the switches have been fitted, it's time to decide whether you want a gasket mount or a top mount option. The Sin65 offers both. Now for a top mount build, you need to stick the silicone parts onto the actual plate. And if you want to go for a gasket mount, which is the option that I'm going for, you need to stick the gasket onto the PCB. Next, it's time to connect the PCB to the Type-C daughter board. Now this can be a little fiddly, so take your time, and once this has been done, you need to basically secure the top case back to the bottom case with 6 screws on the underside of the board. Now for keycaps, I went with a set of these grey coloured ASA profile PBT double shot keycaps from Akko. I've used several Akko keycaps in the past and I love the quality and feel of them. This grey set should perfectly complement the grey aluminium on the Sin65. These keycaps are from Amazon. I'll link them in the video description below. Okay, we are almost finished. Let's add these bump-ons to the base of the board. These will raise the board very slightly, but more crucially, they will provide a nice grip to the base too. And here's the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's peel the protective sticker from the weight. And we're done. So this is the Sin65 from Win Studios in Grey 445C, fully built, gasket mounted with linear switches from Studios, inspired by the Devil Fruit Mirror Mirror Nomi from One Piece, and grey double shot PBT ASA profile keycaps from Akko, and I think it came out great. One thing I have noticed and found a little annoying is just how bright the LED for the caps lock is. Especially if you're looking down at the keyboard, it's really bright and shines right through the gap between the keycaps. So how does it sound? Well, let's give it a test. Here's a quick typing test. So what did you think? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really like the way this board has turned out. In its finished form, the escape key being off center with the other keys doesn't bother me as much as I thought it might. To be honest, in its finished form, you don't notice it as much. The angles and the curves on the side are a nice touch. Win Studio says these provide a convenient and warm place for your fingers. I'm not entirely sure about that, but the design aspect of it is rather nice. Now you'll notice that other than the Type-C connector port on the front, there are no other buttons or switches. The other thing you'll notice is that this keyboard doesn't have any lights, RGB or otherwise. And if you want to remap the keys as previously mentioned, you can do this via a software called LDN. The wired version supports VIAL. Now the back of the keyboard looks really nice. The black embossed wavy patterned weight on the back provides a really nice contrast to the grey anodized finish. Now overall, I'm really happy with this keyboard. The Sin65 is currently available as a group buy until 19th of October 2023. Prices start from $288 for the wired and the soldered version and $308 for the Bluetooth version. I'll leave all the links in the video description below. Now, for a DIY kit, this is not the cheapest kit out there, but I'll be honest, the quality is absolutely brilliant. It's really well made, the fit and finish is superb, and the finished product looks absolutely brilliant. Well guys, thanks again for watching. Leave any questions in the comments below, and I'll link all the relevant product details in the video description below. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.